Well, welcome now to week 4 in MISM for 4331 Web Mastering. And we're going to take a look here at our work for week 4. The standard peer support forum is available, but notice that there is no research forum in week 4, and it's because down at the bottom of the page you can see the exam for week 4, and this covers all of the weekly quizzes from week 1, 2, 3, and 4. So make sure you do the quiz for week 4 before you try that exam. Now, I'm giving you extra time on the exam. You don't rush to take it. Give yourself plenty of time to review each of the quizzes in week 1, 2, 3, and 4. Do those more than once so that you know as many of those questions and answers as you can. And I'm not going to require that the exam 1 be completed until the end of week 5. So I'm making the exam available in week 4 now, and you can take it anytime you want to, but you can only take it once. So make sure that you're ready for it whenever you do. There's quite a bit of work to do for this week, and it'll bleed in some to next week. So take your time and don't jump the gun or rush it. In other words, do the very best that you can to get ready for it. So you just have the peer support forum. There is no research forum. There are 2 chapters in the textbook you need to read. Chapter 10 on embedding media, and then be sure and read chapter 3 on pages 42 and 43 so you can understand about the WAI, Web Accessibility Initiative, and just understand what that's all about. Now, there's 2 projects for this week. One is a coding project, but the coding project has nothing to do with those founding documents that we've been working on, like the Constitution, Declaration, and so on. This is a JavaScript coding assignment in which you're going to be creating a JavaScript quiz. And so this is something that you can use long-term if you're going to teach or maybe teach seminars rather than teaching in education. And so it's just, you take a HTML page and turn it into a quiz that people can run through and test, and they get their score immediately. So it's a little fun project and maybe something useful for you long term, and you'll finish the class with knowing how to create a JavaScript quiz. Now, the other assignment, which this is going to be like part 1 of this assignment, is what I call web image optimization. Now, you studied about web image optimization in chapters 23 and 24 last week. And so now we're going to take what you learned from those chapters and put them to use. Inside your week 4 folder, I have copied, you'll see it here, there are 5 images. And these are the 5 images that I created and used in the MISM 3307 web design class. We put these inside of our Constitution and amendments files and so on. There's one image I didn't use, and it's this one, but I want you to work on this one too because it is it's a JPEG image of an old drawing, very famous piece of work about the work of the Founding Fathers. Now, you can see that the image file size on each of these is huge. So if I turn off the preview pane, here in Windows, you can see the dimensions of each image, 1200 by 877 and so on. By the way, if you don't have the dimensions or the tags or sizes, if you don't have these things showing in the File Explorer in Windows, then all you can do is just right-click in any available blank space in the File Explorer. So I'm going to right-click right in here next to dimensions, and you can come down and click on More, and then here you can see a long list of things that you can actually have show in your File Explorer. If you click on any of these, then just like I did with dimensions, then it will show you that data. And especially with images, this is and with media files like videos, this is very helpful for you to have and to show it to you. So you have to go looking it up. So like, what is the dimensions? What is the file size? What is the length of a video or the length of an audio file? You can put all of those kinds of data, metadata, and have that displayed here across the top of your File Explorer. So you'll see these images. Now, what I'm asking you to do, or making a suggestion that you do, is don't edit these images here. What you're going to do is copy these images, copy them, and then paste them here on this level, not down inside the originals folder, but paste those images here in the images folder. And then that way, if you mess up an image, you can always go back to the originals and get your original and start all over. And so these will be what you're optimizing. So here you see the criteria, what I want you to do. Notice, be careful, make sure you copy, not cut those images, and paste them one level higher in the images folder. I want you to make the final edited height of any image that you work on to be at least 550 pixels. So don't go less than 550 pixels in height. And whatever you crop out and whatever file you reduce or whatever, the final edited height should be 550 pixels or more if you have to have it that way. So, and then you're going to keep working on each file until you can crop them. You can crop anything out that doesn't need to be there, like skies and trees or whatever. You can save the image to a different file format. You can reduce the opacity of the image to help get the file size down. You can modify the color profile of the image. That will help some. And you can use any setting that reduces file size, but I want you to leave the image what I call usefully appealing. Now, what we're going to do next week is put these images into our founding documents pages. So whenever we put those images into the web page, they need to be appealing, so or attractive. Now, they may not be quite the quality of the original image, and your job is to reduce the total file size, not just reducing the image size, but reducing the file size as well as the quality aspects of the image until you get to a point where that you begin to lose the attractiveness, beauty, whatever kind of aesthetic term you want to use. You're going to lose something, because images on the web, when you reduce the file size, you're removing some of the quality characteristics of those images. So, and that's okay. We just want it to be ultimately usefully appealing, if that conveys any good idea to you. Now, I encourage you to make sure that you run through the image optimizers that Jennifer Robbins mentions on page 699 of the textbook. You should have seen those last week, and this week you'll get to use them. The grading criteria on this, I want the smallest possible file size, while at the same time leaving enough of the original quality to make it usefully attractive. I don't want the final height of any image to be less than 550 pixels. The reason for that is that some of these images may be used as a hero image, and for really hero images, normally about 600 pixels, but we're going to go down to about 550 pixels. And could you get the image less? Oh, sure, we could get those images down to 2 pixels in height, but it wouldn't be useful. So we're just going to set a criteria here for grading purposes at 550 pixels. And then beyond this class and beyond the assignments that you have to do in the class, you can make those images any height that you want to. But 550 will be the criteria that we use for grading purposes. So notice a hint here. You should be able to get all of these images down from about, let's see, get all of these file sizes down to about 100 kilobytes. And then notice here that the original size, like the smallest one, is this assembly room of the Independence Hall where the Declaration of Independence was signed. This original image is a file size of about 155 pixels. So you should be able to get that way below 100 kilobytes. And some of these that are just super large, like the Liberty Bell and the U.S. Capitol West Side, you're going to be able to cut a lot of stuff out of this and get it, you can crop it, reduce the file size and everything so that it's only 550 pixels tall, and the original file size is nearly 6 megabytes. So you'll be able to get that down to 100 kilobytes pretty easy. You just got to learn how to use all these tools. Now you can use Photoshop or GIMP. Photoshop costs money and GIMP doesn't. GIMP is very good, and it's got most of the features that you would find available in Photoshop anyway. GIMP, by the way, that's the only editor I use. I don't use Photoshop at all. I did once upon a time when I taught a class in that, but now you can find everything that you need in GIMP, and it never costs you a penny. So just use that. Don't forget there is a, oh, by the way, the coding assignment, you're just going to save your final files to your week 4 folder. And the same thing here with your optimized images. You're just going to save them there in your images folder. Just don't save them into the originals folder, just into the images folder. Don't place the images in your HTML documents for the Founding Documents project at this time. We'll do that next week. Be sure and get your weekly quiz, and be sure and take exam 1 before the end of week 5. So that's it. So I hope you have a great week 4. Hope you're enjoying this stuff. It's always fun to teach and to learn and to get better at using all of these features.